What's up, everybody? It's Brad with the Mature Minded Gamers, and we're here with the season finale of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, titled That Hope Is You. Guys, this is the part 2 of the episode we watched at the very first part of this season.
We called it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
They did a great job with this, too. I'm Eric, by the way. Will.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's fly.
That's right. That was such a good moment at the end. Because you knew they had to have the perfect thing for her to say. And I got to say, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, a whole lot better than they did with Suru earlier in the season.
Well, Suru did fine. It was more of a joke for Suru, though. I mean, yeah, I agree, though. I do like hers better. And, just the moments of when she finally sat in that seat, it was just a great ending in my head.
All right. Well, let's not get too far. Eric, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about this episode?
All right. So this one, we start out with, Discovery firing on the Federation, trying to get out of the little bubble that they've got themselves into. And the Federation's firing back. And we hear Commander What's-His-Face tell Voyager to actually take lead on attacking the ships on, I think he says the outside, and which is... what's the green lady's name?
Osira.
Thank you. Osira's ship on the outside that's actually firing on the shield, and then you have Osira actually. The Navara, thank you. And then you actually have her inside on Discovery trying to fight her way out, and she says something that really, really hit home. She knew exactly where to fire to take that shield out. Remember, she even said it's it's going to show up as something else, but this is really what we got to target. So now, if there is any question that there's an inside man, and not just on Discovery, but in Federation, I
thought that was a little off. I did think that was a little off. I didn't know how she knew that unless she was able to get that from Discovery's databases or something.
No, they don't keep that stuff in Discovery, because even the commander said, his second in control or whatever said, they know about the generator, that's top secret stuff there. I don't think people in Discovery knew about that. I think that was maybe him and her knowing, stuff like that. So there is definitely a secret agent. Any quick guesses of who that is? Have we seen them yet? Because I was going with people on Discovery at first. Remember, we had that discussion last week. And
right.
But now I'm thinking it's somebody in Federation. So I think it's someone we've probably seen already, but the only guy I can really think of is the glasses guy, but I don't really think it's him. So
I don't think it is either.
I'm gonna go with somebody we haven't seen. Maybe. Will, you got any thoughts on that?
I think it's the security officer.
It could be. That's not a terrible guess, because she kind of got her foot stepped on a little bit back. I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes ago, I think, when they were wanting to go to that Vulcan planet, the Vulcan and Romulan planet. So, yeah, it could be. We'll see. So, anyways, fight's going on, and then all of a sudden, it's looking bad. They're breaking through, and then who comes to the rescue?
The old Navarre.
Yes, they came in full force. Man, that was a good moment, because you knew that the Federation was getting back together at that point, I think. They were going to be able to stop this ship. Go ahead.
Wait a second. That's a good moment. We didn't see them. We saw the shadows of them on the outside of the, they were barely there. It was just kind of oh, look, take a look at that. And then we got nothing.
Yeah, you didn't really need to see them. You just knew they were there.
And yeah, that's silly.
No, that was great. And then they put
great. It could have been great. It could have been great. It was cool at best. Great. It was intriguing.
It was expected. Come on.
No, I'm pretty sure last week, Brad, you said it'll just be her coming in by herself in a ship. If we need to play that back, we can, right?
No. You're right. I did say that, but you guys called this one.
Anyways, so
we've been calling things all season.
Well, that's true. I have been not calling the right things this whole season, so Lord knows I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Section 31 is who the secret agents are.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry.
So this puts Osira in a bad spot, and she's gonna release some kind of poison traps or something. I didn't quite understand the whole, and I don't think we're really supposed to, how this whole thing was gonna work. But apparently it was gonna kill and destroy all these ships and poison them or whatever. And so Michael's got to make a deal with her. And so that's what happens next. Michael makes a deal with her that she will call off Starfleet if she will page the commander for her, which she does, and then the commander's very upset about it, but he flicks it away, and the next thing we know, Starfleet stops pursuing.
He doesn't just flick it away. I mean, he angry swipe.
Anger swipe. Yeah, I mean to the effect that Osira thought, well, that didn't work, but it did. Michael got it, and next thing we know, they're calling the ships off. The ship's going to warp, and now we're left with Book and Michael and the bridge officers that are still alive that we don't really know much about other than Osira has started to vent the atmosphere out of those decks. So they're trying to survive that whole mess. And we get the good doctor, whose name I forgot, but the doctor who works for Osira isn't wanting to put this mind control thing onto Book because he's a telepath and it's going to really mess him up, basically. And Osira goes, no, we're going to do this. And she ends up choking him out. Like, damn, Osira. She is a heartless woman. And she chokes him out, takes the device, and her ice hand buddy, I forget his name too, go ahead and put this device on Book and start torturing him. And Michael can't stand it for too long, but she pulls some sweet medical force field crap out and ends up freeing her and Book, and they go on the run. All right. Anything you guys want to talk about? Everything I've covered so far? We kind of been stopping and talking as we went a little bit. So, what'd you guys think about the whole escape? Did it work for you?
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it was okay.
That's good.
I was like, I don't really understand what they were doing necessarily, because it seemed like she had a plan, and then they started running, and I never really feel like it was anything conclusive of what she thought she was supposed to be doing here.
Well, she had the thought in her head, but I mean, the next part is where it gets crazy. That's what I was gonna branch off of. So we start to see them running through, what is this? The inside of Discovery? This giant moving elevators or turbo lifts, whatever they were, cargo moving back and forth. We've never seen this before, have we, in Trek?
Well, it's an interesting kind of take on what turbo lifts look like, but they weren't exactly turbo lifts. It was more like they were open-sided on both sides, and it was just heading to the data core. It didn't seem to me that Discovery was near big enough to justify the length of time it took to get from one place to another in there.
So, I don't know. It's weird because turbo lifts are magical. You never really think about it though, but that must be how they work. It still seems crazy to me. So everything we see on the ship, and I should probably look at some layouts before I start saying the stuff. But everything we've seen on a ship, basically, it's hollowed out in the center, and that's how everything gets moved around the ship. Is that what we're going with? So all the all the quarters and everything's all that's on the outside. So that's all we normally see is basically the outside portion of the ship. We never really see the inside. That's what I pulled from this.
Yeah, I think more of it was the technology for the era. I don't necessarily think that's how the turbo lifts necessarily work in what we know of Trek.
I'm just going to chalk it up as eye candy. I don't think that it really is indicative of what's on a Starfleet ship, because it's not what we saw in Next Generation. It's really not what we would have seen in the original series. I mean, the ships were like the turbo lift shafts and Next Generation were, basically elevator shafts that moved laterally and up and down. So, I mean, I guess I would have assumed the same thing out of this one. I don't know. I guess I'm just not going to think too hard about it and just let it be eye candy.
Well, the whole time that they were kind of floating through it and flying through it, I just kept thinking of Monsters Incorporated when those doors were being attached and shifted around the big facility. The whole time, I just kept on thinking of that.
That's true. That is I never thought about that part, but that is how it works in Monsters.
But then was his name Zeri? The guy with the ice hand? Yeah. When he got kicked out of there, and when he called out the fat cat and he got knocked out, and Book goes, he's like, she's a queen. I thought that was great. I was half expecting just the cat to jump out and claw him in the face and take one for Book and save his life.
I really thought we were going to get something with that cat this whole season. I really do think it's just a cat now, which is kind of disappointing, but a cat the book is in love with. Cat, anyways. So yeah, we get this whole scene. Michael jumps from one turbolift to another, ends up fighting Osira in the computer room, data core room, whatever it was, and I think that was programmable matter that she got shoved into. And that whole thing was that was a little weird.
It made me think of Control, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. It did. But and then she gets the gun and ends up shooting and killing Osira, which I don't know. You think she's dead? They said she was dead. Yep. Do you think she's actually dead though?
I do.
You do? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna go with yes too. But that was kind of a letdown of a death, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I didn't like the whole fight scene. Getting knocked in the program matter. It just seemed weird. I don't know. It was all right though. We've seen worse. And with that going on, you also have what is her name? Who's the one who can hold her breath for 10 minutes?
Uwu.
Uwu. She is able to. Well, let's rewind just a little bit. Before they got to that whole fight scene, Michael sent a message to the whole ship that was basically her telling Tilly that they needed to blow out a nacelle. Thank you. Kind of like a secret message, but they did a nice job of relating it to how Tilly knew what it meant, talking about her birthday and everything. I thought that was kind of cool, and it kind of, again, we've kind of got away from it this season, how much Michael and Tilly are there for each other, and it kind of touched back on that, which I liked. But anyways, so they're running out of oxygen. She's able to get the bomb there, and then the little tiny robot, which apparently there's more than 3, because I've seen at least 6 of them get blown up. So I don't know if they're just constantly making these things that's being controlled by the spear data. Apparently not. So I seen at least 6 of them get blown up when they were fighting their way to this area, and then one saves her and drags her back, and they blow it up, and it knocks Discovery out of warp, and the rest of the fleet are able to catch up. And with Osira dead, Discovery's trapped inside of the big mothership, which I forget the name of. And so basically what happens once they regain control, everybody's okay, nobody died, surprise. I thought for sure at least one person was going to die in that mess, and nobody did, so that was kind of impressive. They are able to eject a warp core out, and Book is able to use the My Serial Network to do Black Alert and get them out of there, which didn't look like it was going to happen, but you knew it was. And they were able
to. That was like the biggest surprise. I mean, you knew it was going to happen, but the fact that he could actually use the spore drive because of his empathic abilities.
I'm very disappointed none of us thought of that before now. But yes, it surprised the hell out of me too. I did not see that coming at all. It does make sense now, because even at the beginning of the episode, I think we talked a bit about his powers and what exactly are they. It does make complete sense how they did it, and I love it.
I thought it was a cop out.
No, they gotta have somebody to do it, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna get to this later, but Stamets is he is pissed. Stamets is not a happy man, and he's gonna become a villain.
You think so?
Oh yeah. You see them looks he was giving Michael at the end? Whew. He feels betrayed. And also, if you notice, there was a shot of him back on Starfleet talking to the commander about, we can do this, we can go back and save it. And the commander even blew him off and said no, So he hates Starfleet and Michael quite a bit now, I think. So I'm pretty sure he's going to turn villain. Or at the very minimum, he's going to leave Starfleet. One or the other, and that's why Book's going to be able to stay. Because
I don't think he's going to become a villain. I think that's a stretch.
He's calling it. He's calling it. Season 4. Write that down.
Well, so I thought for sure also that Colber was going to die on the planet, and that was going to totally make Stamets a villain. But since he didn't, I might be wrong. We'll see. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But okay. So, anyways, they save the ship. They drop out the warp core, warp back, and the whole time this has been going on, we got a whole bunch of dumb stuff back on that
the nebula
planet, where they're just trying to talk the kid into not being afraid, basically. The cool thing about it though was Gray has showed up, So somehow the hologram program has detected Gray as a person and gave her an actual hologram, which is kind of cool. It was nice to see her interact with him. Or him, sorry. I'm not sure how Gray identifies. Have they ever said? I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Gray. It's nice to see Gray interact with the crew, and you could tell like when Colber hugged her that meant a lot to her. She did a great job acting that. Or they did a great job acting that. What did you guys think of the whole holodeck things? I know I kind of went fast, but again, this was my least favorite part of this episode was this whole burn thing, and I don't know. I still don't like the resolution.
Riddle me this. Okay, wait. So let's back up just a second, because one of the things that I didn't really hit me until just now is that everybody on Discovery should not know what a hologram is. They didn't have holos back then.
It's a TV show. Is the only thing that I can guess on this, that it's make believe, and they made it up. That's my guess, Brad. I don't know.
I completely forgot about that. I was thinking this whole time that they had this technology.
I can't decide if that was an a-hole answer or
which one, mine or Eric's?
Yours. Like I'm trying to decide.
Low column B. I think they come up with something. I mean, they may not know what it is, but I think they were able to kind of figure it out because they're used to what the holograms are now. Because obviously they've seen it. They may not have known what it was back in the past and how to interact with it. But how did they know computer exit? That's what they tried the first time they went down. Remember?
Yeah,
I remember.
I think it was Colber. I forgot. I don't know. I wish they would have touched on that with like one line. Colber just would have said, "Oh, I seen this back at Starfleet for a second," or something, So like I'm vaguely familiar with it. But yeah, you're right. He didn't. I completely forgot about that because they all do seem very much aware of what's going on. Good call on that one, Brad. So
apparently not too good, because
I was just messing around with you.
One of the three of us didn't think that was a very good observation. I'm not going to point any fingers.
I thought it was a good observation. I'm just saying, I mean, they're just coming up with solutions here. Just like every single other Star Trek that we've ever watched. They pull the answers out of their behinds to come up with the words and the right verbiage to use to make a solution. So they're just gonna pull things that make sense for the story, and if something kind of gets a little missed.
Look,
there's a lot of the technology that this new crew has kind of used and seen that they wouldn't have known about. Like their medical scanners and stuff, being able to solve all these medical issues that would have perplexed Dr. Crusher. Am I wrong?
All right. That's enough. Moving on.
Well, I mean, so just to touch back on it, they've really shotgunned this episode. There's not a lot of fillers in any of this season. It's all just kind of to the point, and I kind of think that's probably what they did with that too, the whole hologram thing, instead of trying to explain it. We've seen that a lot, but yeah. So they end up having him face his fears. They end up breaking through the hologram program, and they play back the last recording of his mother. And I think we called this too. This is what caused the burn, was watching his mother die. And he screams, and he caused the gray burn, which I hate. Man, I hate. That's the worst thing in this whole episode, or this whole season, that being the burn. But anyways, they resolve it, and he, realizes it. And I was kind of impressed at how fast he was able to say, I did this. I need to help fix it. And so that was kind of a cool aspect of it. And, Gray has a nice hug because she knows once they beam out and turn the holodeck off that she's gone. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see her back next season as with like a Voyager doctor thing or something, a badge on, to keep her there and walking around the ship. Her. Yeah, sorry. Don't you think that's going to happen? She's going to be like the emergency medical.
Yeah. I mean, even Dr. Colber even alluded to that. We'll find a solution.
I definitely think they'll be back next season in that capacity. I'm sure Starfleet's got the technology now.
Right.
So that'd be kind of cool. They'll have them on the ship, I think, all the time. And I think it'll play just like they did in the holodeck where, they even said that, they can go through the radiation because they're not human. Just like we've seen
they're not corporeal.
Corporeal, yeah. Just like we've seen all through Voyager with the Doctor being able to do things that nobody else could.
Right, but Colburn knew about that, being able to answer that question.
He's read all of his Voyager history.
Apparently.
So we get back. Everybody's together. Everybody's reunited. They're beaming on the ship. Tilly, back up a little bit, but Tilly basically tells Michael to, you're the captain. Take control. So she does. We get the great her calling let's fly. And that whole moment was just fantastic. I loved it. We seen them all in their new uniforms. The Starfleet commander tells her a great story about his daughter not wanting to do math, and that's why he knew to trust Michael, he's learning to trust Michael now, because even though she's not doing it his way, she's getting it done, basically. And so she wants him to be the captain, or her to be the captain. Or not the captain. Yeah, the captain. Gosh, can't think.
She leads him, essentially.
Yeah. And she references that, kind of wanted to wait for Suru. So do you guys think Saru's going to be back next season?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to get some off-scene actions. We're going to get some messages or a couple sentences about, oh, you've been the captain of Discovery for 6 months. You've done all these good things, and then Saru's ready to rejoin, and he comes in. Who's going to be captain? I think it's going to be Michael still. I think Saru's going to say, this is your place, and it's always been your place, and my place is right beside you.
I think he's going to come back to the show. I don't believe he's going to come back to Discovery. I think he's going to be an off-again, on-again character that will do something with the Kaminar fleet.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I don't think he's going to be a main character anymore, unfortunately.
He's such a favorite character.
I don't know. That's just my guess.
Maybe. I mean, I could see that, I guess, but I also think I'm still going to go with my gut. I think he's going to come back though, but let Michael be captain. Tilly will be third rank or third in charge, whatever. But she'll still get some action. She'll be like the Geordi LaForge of the Enterprise. Every once in a while, she gets set in a seat and do something. Now, Michael's too much of an action hero, so I think we'll see her still doing a lot of away missions, and Tilly back on the ship, and I think that's going to happen a lot for next season.
Got me thinking on that one now, though.
So, anything else I missed? You guys want to talk about this episode?
Absolutely, man. So there was something that I kind of caught on to what Admiral Vance was talking about when Burnham said, sir, I didn't even know you had a daughter. Oh, her and her mother had to go away. It was too dangerous. I'll join him again eventually. I'm thinking they died. I think we're going to get more into that in the next season. I think they died, and he's talking about he'll join them again eventually, as far as he'll die and move on. Did you get that? Did you pick up on that at all? Or do you think literally they're like at a different world? But what world?
I don't know, but I think that they're on another world.
You think they're still alive?
Yep.
Nope, I don't. What do you think, Eric?
You just said that. Yeah, I'm gonna cut that part out. I sound like a turd right there. It was supposed to be playful and it wasn't.
Sorry, I was doing something. I didn't think that they were dead, Will, but I did think the way he said it was kind of weird.
So yeah, they're dead. I'm telling you.
You might be right, but I'm also thinking that since there's not warp, they have a harder time getting places. So I think he probably did send them away, and he just can't.
Where? Where's safer?
They got to have some planets around them, right? I mean, they're still, what'd they say? I don't even know what they said. There's still so many people in the Federation. I mean, it's not just them. So I do think they're somewhere, but you might be right though, because just the way he said it, I thought was a little weird.
Right. Yeah, that's how I kind of took that, and I was like, oh man, I think he's kind of seeing his daughter in Burnham and how she, did things, and he's realizing that she was right. How she did things isn't necessarily a bad way. However, everything that Discovery's done, I mean, that almost cost Starfleet everything. And that's the one thing that keeps getting me as far as like, Discovery comes in and puts everything that the Federation currently holds dear at risk. And they're just like, oh, okay, you did good saving yourself from the problem that you got us into. We're gonna, all the people that died and whatever, we're gonna make you captain. Good job. It just kind of always weirds me out.
Well, Michael didn't put him in that situation. I mean,
Discovery did.
Well, yeah, but the chain has been a menace. Sounds like for over 100 years. And if you remember when Osira died, there was mention that the chain dissolved. So I don't know who the big bad villain besides Stamets is going to be next season.
Stamets, huh?
I mean, who else? Frozen Hand guy died. Osira's dead. The one doctor guy's good now, I think. Oh, by the way, man, let's talk about how much we did not see Jet Reno this season. What a disappointment. What happened there?
I don't know, just at the end with the robots.
And that's all we got. Like, it was like episode 2, I think, where we had her doing some banter with Stamets, and that was it, man. And we see her like maybe 2 or 3 times besides that this whole season. Talk about wasting some potential.
Right. What was the whole point of her character? What has she really done in this show that has made her stand out? Besides that, those quips that she had with getting Stamets kind of out of his funk.
Well, like she's supposed to be like a tech wizard. Like, I feel like they could use her in so many different spots, and they just don't. Now,
yeah, but we have Akira now who does that.
Well, that, and we have a ton of crew, and nobody died. I still can't believe that. Like, I don't know. Something's going to happen next season. They're going to either split the crew or do something, because we're just not seeing enough of the crew. We did see a lot more of the bridge crew this season, but I don't really feel like we learned a lot about them. I mean, we didn't know what's-her-face could hold her breath for 10 minutes until this episode. I couldn't tell you anything else about any of the other characters, really. I mean, we did...
The thing is, like, they didn't know anything about holding breath from their past.
Well, I mean,
until they got to the future, that's not technology they knew about.
That's a good point, Will. Yeah, they probably just shotgunned it real quick, huh?
Right, Brad?
Hey, Brad, when you when you edit this, can you just take Will's voice and completely remove it?
So I'm considering just turning up the frequency on it so he sounds like a chipmunk.
Oh well, that works too.
So I mentioned this to Brad earlier, Will. We never got any resolution about the lullaby. Do you think that meant anything, or is going to later, or was that just kind of an afterthought? Brad had an idea too, but I'll let you speak first.
I'm trying to think of what lullaby you're talking about.
Wow. Did you watch this season?
Yeah, but obviously it probably wasn't an episode that I rated a 9 or an 8 like you guys.
They brought this lullaby up several times. It was a tune they kept hearing when they were trying to investigate the burn.
Oh yeah, see, obviously it wasn't that much of a plot point that I cared about it.
I mean, it was in like 4 different episodes, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. It wasn't that memorable. I think it'll probably come into play in the next season. I think there's some things more like that computer, that supercomputer.
The sphere data?
The sphere data that went into the robots, the XBs or whatever they're called. I think those kind of things will come up more in the next season.
I hope so, because I was disappointed we didn't get more with that sphere data. Like, it seemed like kind of a wasted... It seemed like they just kind of glazed over a bunch of stuff this season that I would have liked to have learned more about.
Right.
I mean, I love this season. I thought it was a great season overall, but I would have loved for more of Jet Reno, more sphere data, more of some of the other crew. I mean, we did get a lot about oh gosh, Detmer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about Detmer. The first, I don't know, was like episode 2 and 3, and her having the uh, panic attacks or whatever, like. But then that kind of ended, so I don't know.
Well, they've done that a lot with this entire season. I mean, a lot was going on with Giorgio and her, kind of existing between verses, and then all of a sudden she leaves.
Well, that got a conclusion though, so I don't feel so bad about that.
But their conclusions are they come up with these, like have so many possibilities, and okay, we'll just exit it. And it's just real quick. Here's an answer. Done. I don't know. It just seems like, as I watch the show, and I know they only have so much time, they've only got so many episodes, they have these grandiose ideas, and they come up with all these different things that are going on at once, but none of them are really ever fleshed out or really go anywhere. And then if and when they do, they just abruptly end them. Like you talk about that music. Okay, they've had this, like as you say, 4 episodes. I vaguely remember it now, but it's not been something that I've really thought too much about because it's not really gone anywhere.
I feel like they built the burn up too much. And Brad, what did you say about that lullaby?
I mean, it was a total ripoff from Battlestar Galactica, so I hope they just dumped it.
So do you think they had like this big thing that was going to happen with the burn, and then they did realize that? Like somebody said, "Hey, you've watched Battlestar Galactica, right?"
Yeah. Have you guys seen this show from the early 2000s?
And then they
totally ripped off our idea.
Well, no, really. Let's be serious here. They had something built up for that, and the lullaby was going to play in with it. And then at some point, they're like, "We got to scrap that. We can't do that." And they just kind of threw the Kelpian kid in there to be the cause, because it does feel kind of lackluster, in my opinion.
Wait a minute. What if there was like a cut scene about the lullaby and the mom singing the lullaby to the Kelpian kid? What was his name?
Sukal.
Thank you.
I mean, maybe, but they still would have had to change it though, because they've said now that when it happened, it was when he was enraged or whatever, or not hearing a lullaby. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
that was the thing that soothed him and calmed him down. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird. I kind of hope, and I still hope they kind of go back and talk about like what this ship was doing, and like somehow Starfleet was behind it. Maybe.
That's a valid question.
I don't know. We'll see.
No, I don't necessarily think they intended. I mean, how many times did we get, like in Next Generation or something was so dire it could have ended the entire verse, and then they figured out a solution. What happens if they didn't figure out a solution? This is kind of like what could happen if you don't have the right people in place.
All right, we ready to rate this episode?
Yeah.
Will, start us out.
I'm gonna go with this episode as a 8.5, maybe a 9, just because of all the action. The explosions, the story is kind of, I guess, what stopped it from being a 10. Just the cause of the burn. I think that on the whole, this was just a fun season finale. But my disappointment, I guess, one more disappointment, I guess, would be it also didn't leave on a cliffhanger. I wanted something a little bit to look forward to for the next season. Maybe just something besides just a little bit of a negative looks from Stamets.
Yeah, it really wasn't a cliffhanger, you're right. Go ahead, Brad.
I mean, I'm going to give this one probably about the same rating, about an 8.5 to 9. I wasn't so much bothered about not having a cliffhanger for the next season. I think that that's a fresh way to you start a whole new story without carrying too much over from this season. So it allows them to maybe jump in the future a bit. As Federation kind of is regrown a bit, maybe we'll start off in season 4 with a larger, more cohesive Federation, and maybe we've done a little bit more work on getting the spore drive and more ships or something like that. But I guess I'm expecting to the show to take a little different direction. I guess I don't care if it goes one way or the other. Maybe there's something we missed that is going to be the driver for the next season, but I think I'm okay with any of the above. The episode though was, for the things that I didn't enjoy about it, there were definitely plenty of things I did, and um, I I think I like the relationship that Suru has with Sukal, and I'm interested to see how that's going to go forward. The whole Hollow thing, I'm glad that's finally over. And I am kind of curious what they were doing clear out on that planet. I think maybe there might have been, part of me thinks that the whole, dilithium shortage was something that they talked about being a thing before the burn, and that's why they were out searching for more dilithium. So maybe that was already addressed. I don't really remember. But so maybe we dive into that a little bit more. But otherwise, I'll kind of give this whole season about an 8.5 as well. Not my absolute favorite season. I think last season was my favorite, but this season was pretty good as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This episode, I'm going to give a 9. The season overall, I'm going to give a 9. I do think 2 was my favorite season still. But I did like that we're in a completely new future and that we can, do things and we're not tied to the previous Trek lore and history and all that stuff, that we have to follow, the canon or whatever you want to call it. So I love what they're doing. I hated the burn. I loved it at the beginning. I loved the suspense of what it was going to be, but I didn't like the conclusion. I didn't like. Well, I don't say I didn't like it. I wasn't a huge fan of the main bringing the Federation together. How they played them as villains at the beginning, and then they end up not being villains. So I'm kind of wondering if they are going to be the villains after all at some point, and maybe that's why. What's his face sent his family away, Will. Maybe there's some corruption. Maybe that's where the spy is going to come into play. There's corruption.
What if it's the Admiral?
I don't think it is though, because the Admiral stood up to Osira and shut her down. So I mean, it could still be, but I don't really think so. I want to know a lot more about the guy in the glasses and what's going on there with that. I know we speculated Section 31. Which is fine, but I want to know what are they really doing? There's a lot of potential there.
What if it's Leland still in the computer?
I don't really think it's Leland. I don't think it is. I think Leland's done. Overall, great season. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait for season 4. I think we're gonna. I think season 4 is gonna be them trying to reunite the Federation and everybody who's lost contact, kind of like they said. And maybe we're going to find out what happened to the Klingons and what happened to all these species we haven't seen or heard anything about.
Sure. I'm going to give this season an 8. Not as good as season 2, better than season 1. I think it was a little slow. We did have a lot of action, but the story just took too long to flesh out for what it was. Ultimately, I would rather watch season 2 of any of them because it was so much intensity and questions that the next episode answered. Then you'd get another question, and the next episode would answer it. This one just seemed like we had the question of the burn. It just lasted the entire run. It just got stagnant. We got all these little snippets of information that just didn't go anywhere. Ultimately, again, better than season 1, not as good as season 2.
Do you guys think, because when I rewatched season 1 and season 2, being able to shotgun them back to back, I liked both those seasons and appreciated them a lot more than when I watched them episodically. How much of a factor do you think that is to people? Being able to remember all the details, being able to watch 3 episodes in a row and piece everything together that you may have forgot over that week. You think that's a big deal in this series?
I mean, yeah. I mean, hell, we have a hard time remembering these characters' names and we just watched it the same day.
That's true. I'm terrible with names, so that's partially my fault. But there's a lot of characters in this show. Again, I am just very surprised at how many not lead characters, but how many bridge crew members we have, or whatever you want to call them. People who are getting a screen time.
Right, but then we have characters that aren't getting any that we want to see.
Right. I do think season 4 is going to start with them splitting the crew. I mean, right. I think maybe that's going to be partially why Stamets gets angry. Maybe his ship with Colber is going to die or something. I don't know.
Let me ask you guys this: who do you think, Brad? Who do you think was the standout favorite character for this season?
Book.
Why is that?
His ship, for starters. The fact he's an empath. The fact he was able to crack through the stone exterior of Michael Burnham. His
okay.
Yeah, all that.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you remember at the end when he was about to jump? I think it was when he was about to jump, and he tells Michael, you know, my mentor, Cleveland Booker. I'll tell you about him sometime. Whoa. What? Is his name not Book? Is his name not Cleveland Booker? Who is this guy?
That's not new.
Okay. Maybe I didn't catch that earlier, but man, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's not new. Earlier in the season, when she was asking him what his actual name was, he wouldn't tell her because somebody else alluded to the fact that Book wasn't his real name.
Okay. Well, I guess I had missed that, man. When I heard him say that, I was like, okay, he's the villain for the next season. I still think it's Book. I still think he's some sort of spy for somebody that's a bigger bad.
Could be. I don't think it's. I don't know though. When he was on the planet with his brother, he was calling him. I think he even referenced like, why do they call you that or something? Or I don't remember now.
What about you, Eric? Favorite character for this season?
Man, honestly, I don't know if I could pick one. I liked Book a lot, but I liked Tilly's character and her progression a lot.
Yeah.
I like seeing Detmer step up and show that she was afraid, but then she overcame it and she, could end up flying Book's ship and saving the day that one time. And I mean, I wish we would have seen more of that, I guess. Colber, you know what? Colber's my standout character this season.
That's actually what I was going to say. I think actually Colber's so far, I love his character. I love how he's going through that emotional struggle, but at the same time putting his focus into work as well, and then when he was like, I need to do this, when he was telling Stamets that he needs to go down to the planet,
He was involved a lot more this season, I felt like.
Yeah, and he was an important role. I think he had the most important role of the mental health for the crew, the physical health for the crew, but then also doing what he could to help himself too and make himself a better person, And the way he cared about Adira and Gray when he first saw Gray, I mean, how he just instantly recognized Gray, just based on how Adira described him. So I mean, throughout this past couple episodes, I've heard Stamets and Adira and Colber talk about how though they're basically their kids or whatever, and they care about them. They're a family unit. I was kind of like, that's kind of weird, I didn't really ever see them all get together and do stuff, and obviously it just kind of goes to show those moments you don't see on screen, how the conversation happens and how they listen to Adira describe Gray. And I just thought that was great. And the way he treated Gray, I thought that was great. I love his character.
It was really good.
He does have soft eyes. I told you. I just thought that was really sweet. I was good.
It was a very touching moment. All right, does that wrap us up, guys? I think it does. Thanks for listening to our podcast, everybody. You can check out all of our content on our website, maturemindedgamers.com. Have yourself a great night.